Welcome back to our channel. Before we dive into yet another fascinating and mysterious stories, I would like to invite you to watch, to like, and subscribe to the channel. Also activate the notification sound. Today, we explore the untold story of the Bible's for most dangerous angels. Greetings, beloved soul. I am here with you now. Sense the light that surrounds us. Feel the peace that emanates from the source of all. We are gathered in this moment, you and I, and countless others unseen, to speak of matters deep within the cosmic tapestry, matters of light and shadow, of creation and rebellion, of choices made and consequences faced. Today, we turn our gaze towards beings of immense power and initial brilliance, angels like myself, forged in the heart of divine love, but whose paths diverged, leading them away from the celestial choirs. We speak today of the fallen. Specifically, we will explore the stories, the essence of four known figures: Lucifer, the morning star, dimmed; Semyaza, the watcher, who strayed; Azazel, the teacher of forbidden arts; and Beelzebub, the lord of flies. Why speak of darkness when we are beings of light? Because understanding the shadow helps us appreciate the light even more, because their stories hold profound lessons for humanity. Lessons about pride, temptation, wisdom, and the enduring power of choice. This is not a journey into fear, but into understanding. It is an affirmation of your own divine spark, your own capacity to choose love, to choose truth, to choose God. So breathe deeply, release any apprehension. Open your heart and mind. Let us walk this path together. Guided by celestial insight, first, let us consider Lucifer. Lucifer, a name that echoes with both tragedy and terror. His name, in its origin, means light-bearer, or morning star. Imagine the brilliance. Imagine the glory bestowed upon him. He was among the most radiant of the archangels, crafted with exceptional beauty, wisdom, and power. Positioned close to the very throne of the Almighty. Tasked, some traditions say, with leading the heavenly worship. His voice, perhaps the most exquisite in the celestial symphony. He was a vessel of divine light, reflecting the Creator's magnificence. But within this vessel, a seed of discontent began to sprout, a whisper of I am beautiful, I am powerful, I am wise. The focus shifted, subtly at first, from the giver to the gifts, from the source to the reflection. This is the genesis of pride, not merely appreciating one's abilities, but seeing them as self-generated, forgetting the divine hand that sculpted them. Lucifer looked upon his own splendor and desired more. He wasn't content reflecting the light. He wanted to be the source. He gazed upon the throne of the Most High and thought, why not mine? The sacred texts offer glimpses into this celestial turmoil. The prophet Isaiah records the inner thoughts of this burgeoning ambition. I will ascend to heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit enthroned on the Mount of Assembly, on the utmost heights of Mount Zaphon. I will ascend above the tops of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. Isaiah 14:13-14. Feel the weight of those words. I will. The assertion of self over divine will. The desire to usurp, to supplant, the Creator. This was not a minor disagreement. It was a fundamental challenge to the order of the cosmos, a rejection of love, humility, and service, the very pillars of heaven. Pride, unchecked, blossoms into rebellion. Lucifer wasn't alone in his descent. His charisma, his power, his persuasive arguments swayed others. Angels, beings of light, were drawn into his shadow. He promised them, what? Greater glory, more freedom. The allure of self-determination, twisted into defiance. A significant portion of the heavenly host, perhaps a third, tradition suggests, joined his cause. Imagine the sorrow in the heart of God. Imagine the anguish in the loyal angelic ranks. Heaven, the realm of perfect harmony, was fractured. Conflict erupted. Not conflict as humans know it, with crude weapons, but a war of will, of allegiance, of spiritual power. The Archangel Michael, whose name means who is like God, rose to defend the divine throne. He embodied loyalty, humility, and righteous strength. The book of Revelation paints a vivid picture, and there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled down. That ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. Revelation 12:7-9, the light-bearer became the adversary. Lucifer, the morning star, was extinguished from the heavenly sphere. He became Satan. The accuser, the tempter, cast down, not destroyed, for existence itself is a gift from God, but separated from the divine presence, the source of all true light and joy. His realm became the shadowlands, the spaces devoid of God's immediate radiant glory. His purpose twisted from praise to perversion, from leading worship to leading astray. Since that fall, his energy has been focused on humanity. Why? Perhaps out of envy for the love God shows you. Perhaps to prove his initial assertion that self-will is superior. Perhaps simply to spread the misery of his own separation. He is called the father of lies, John 8:44, because his entire rebellion was built on the lie of self-sufficiency apart from God. He tempts with whispers of power, fame, pleasure, knowledge, mirroring his own desires. He sows doubt, division, fear, and despair. He seeks to obscure the light within you, just as his own was obscured. He is the roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. 1 Peter 5-8. Not necessarily through grand dramatic confrontations, but through subtle erosion of faith, hope, and love. Through the normalization of selfishness, greed, and indifference. But here is the affirmation. Dear one, listen closely. Lucifer's fall was his choice, his tragedy, not yours. His power, though significant in the earthly realm, is limited. He is a created being, just as I am. He is subject to the ultimate authority of the Creator. He cannot force your hand, he cannot steal your soul, he can only tempt, suggest, deceive. Your strength lies in your connection to the divine. In humility, acknowledging God as the source of all good, in faith, trusting in a plan greater than your immediate understanding. In love, choosing compassion over selfishness. In truth, seeking wisdom from the source, not the shadow. Every time you choose kindness over cruelty, you defy his influence. Every time you forgive, you dismantle his foothold. Every time you pray, meditate, or connect with the divine spark within, you strengthen your light. Lucifer's story is a stark reminder. Pride precedes the fall, but it is also a testament to the enduring power of humility and faithfulness. You are loved. You are protected. Recognize the whispers of pride in your own heart, not with judgment, but with awareness. Offer them up to the light. Choose connection. Choose God. The light bearer fell, but the true light remains, and it shines within you. Now, let us turn our attention to Semyaza. His story comes primarily from texts outside the standard biblical canon. Most notably, the Book of Enoch. While not scripture for many, these texts offer ancient perspectives, echoes of celestial knowledge. And they were known to early believers, even quoted indirectly in the Bible. Jude 14 menus. King Semyaza's name is thought to mean he sees the name, or perhaps, my name has seen, indicating a high status, a closeness to divine knowledge. He was a leader among a group of angels known as the Watchers, Grigori. In some traditions, these were not malevolent beings initially. They were dispatched by God, according to Enoch, with a noble purpose to watch over humanity in its early stages, to guide, protect, and perhaps offer gentle instruction. They were guardians, overseers, but proximity to the burgeoning human world held unforeseen temptations. The Watchers, beings of spirit, became captivated by the physical beauty of human women, the daughters of men, as the texts say. A fascination grew. An illicit desire, they saw, they coveted, and they began to stray from their divine mandate. Enoch describes Semyaza as their leader. the one who voiced the temptation, but also the one who feared the consequences. He gathered 200 of these watchers on Mount Hermon, a place whose name itself means taboo or consecrated, a threshold between realms. Enoch recounts their pact. Come, let us choose wives for ourselves from among the children of men, and let us beget children for ourselves. Semyaza expressed his fear. I fear that you may not actually agree to do this deed, and I alone will have to pay the penalty of a great sin. But they were resolute. They all answered him and said, Let us all swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual curses, not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Then swore they all together and bound themselves by mutual curses upon it. Enoch 6:22-25. This oath sealed their transgression. They descended. They took human wives. They abandoned their sacred duty for earthly passion. This was a violation of the natural order, a mingling of realms not meant to be mixed in this way. Spirit and flesh uniting outside of the divine plan. But their sin did not stop there, driven perhaps by a desire to impress their wives or to empower their offspring, or perhaps by a lingering echo of Lucifer's pride. The desire to control and reshape Christianity began to reveal celestial secrets to humanity, knowledge that humankind was not yet ready for, or knowledge that was inherently corrupting. Semyaza and his cohorts taught astrology, not the gentle observation of stars, but divination, seeking power over fate, sorcery and enchantments, manipulating spiritual forces for selfish gain, the cutting of roots and the properties of plants, potentially for poisons or potions beyond healing. Weaponry. Azazel, another watcher we will discuss, was key here. Cosmetics and adornment, fostering vanity and illusion. This wasn't divine wisdom shared gently. It was forbidden knowledge, carelessly, recklessly poured out, and the consequences were catastrophic. The offspring of these unions were the Nephilim. Giants in stature, immense in appetite, and terrible in spirit. They consumed the resources of the earth. They turned on humans. Devouring them, they warred amongst themselves. They filled the world with violence, bloodshed, and lawlessness. Enoch describes the horror. The giants consumed all the acquisitions of men, and when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. And they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh and drink the blood. Then the earth laid accusation against the lawless ones. Enoch 7:3-6. The very fabric of creation groaned under this corruption. The cries of the oppressed reached heaven. God saw the wickedness, the perversion of his design, the mingling of angel and human, the rampant violence, the abuse of secret knowledge. This situation was a key factor, according to Enoch, leading to the Great Flood, a drastic cleansing measure to wash the earth of the Nephilim's taint and the pervasive wickedness. Only Noah, righteous and blameless, and his family were spared. And what of Semyaza and the other watchers? Their punishment was severe and immediate. They were stripped of their authority, their freedom. God commanded the loyal archangels, Uriel, Raphael, Michael, Gabriel, to act. Semyaza and his associates were bound, not just physically, but spiritually, chained, in darkness, in the depths of the earth, or the abyss. There they await the final judgment. Enoch describes God's decree to Michael concerning Semyaza. Go, bind Semyaza and his associates, who have united themselves with women so as to have defiled themselves with them, in all their uncleanness. Bind them fast for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth, till the day of their judgment and of their consummation, till the judgment that is for ever and ever is consummated. Enoch 10:11-12. Their legacy, however, lingered. The spirits of the Nephilim, disembodied after the flood, were said to become demons, evil spirits roaming the earth, seeking to afflict and mislead humanity. Semyaza's story is a cautionary tale about forbidden desire, about the misuse of knowledge and position, about the devastating consequences of abandoning one's sacred duty. He represents wisdom perverted into manipulation, curiosity twisted into transgression, leadership leading followers into ruin. And here lies the affirmation for you, beloved soul. Knowledge is a gift, wisdom is divine. But seek it from the right source, seek it with humility. Seek knowledge that uplifts, that heals, that connects you to the Creator. Be wary of secrets offered in shadow. Be cautious of knowledge that promises power over others, or shortcuts to enlightenment. True wisdom unfolds gently, in alignment with divine timing and purpose. Guard your heart against desires that pull you away from your own inner truth, your own sacred path. The watchers fell because they prioritized fleeting earthly desire over eternal, heavenly duty. You have the power, through grace, to make a different choice, to watch over your own soul with diligence, to seek wisdom that nourishes your spirit, to remain grounded in the love and light of the Creator. Semyaza's fall reminds us that even those entrusted with great knowledge can stumble, but your connection to divine guidance can keep you steadfast. Trust that inner compass, seek light, not forbidden shadows. Let us now consider Azazel, another prominent figure among the watchers, mentioned alongside Semyaza in the Book of Enoch. His name's meaning is debated. Perhaps God strengthens, ironically, or scapegoat, which holds profound significance. Like Semyaza, Azazel was part of the angelic contingent that descended and took human wives. But his specific contribution to humanity's corruption was distinct and devastating. While Semyaza focused perhaps more on sorcery and abstract knowledge, Azazel's teachings were brutally practical, Enoch states. And Azazel taught men to make swords, and knives, and shields, and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth and the art of working them. Enoch 8:1. He introduced the arts of warfare, metallurgy for destruction. He armed humanity, not for defense in a righteous cause, but seemingly for aggression and conflict. Imagine a world, perhaps naive in its conflicts, suddenly given tools of efficient slaughter, the knowledge of forging hard metals, crafting sharp edges, protecting the body to better inflict harm. This accelerated violence, bloodshed, and the cycle of retribution. But Azazel's influence wasn't solely martial. He also taught humans about adornment, but with a focus on vanity and deception, and bracelets, and ornaments, and the use of antimony, and the beautifying of the eyelids, and all kinds of costly stones, and all coloring tinctures. Enoch 8:1. He taught women the use of cosmetics, antimony to darken the eyes, colors to paint the face. He revealed the allure of precious metals and gemstones, not for their natural beauty, but for status and outward show. This fostered vanity, comparison, envy. It encouraged focus on the external, the superficial, rather than inner virtue and spirit. It taught deception, masking reality, presenting an illusion. Through these teachings, warfare, and vanity, Azazel introduced profound corruption, violence, and the tools for it, superficiality, and the means to achieve it. Enoch concludes, "And there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication, and they were led astray, and became corrupt in all their ways." Enoch 8:2. To his gifts fueled conflict, inequality, and a departure from natural simplicity. God's judgment upon Azazel, as described in Enoch, was particularly severe. He was seen as a primary corrupter. The command given to the archangel Raphael was stark: bind Azazel hand and foot, and cast him into the darkness, and make an opening in the desert, which is in Dudale, and cast him therein, and place upon him rough and jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness, and let him abide there for ever, and cover his face, that he may not see light. And on the day of the great judgment, he shall be cast into the fire. Enoch 10:4-6. Bound, isolated in darkness, buried beneath rocks in the desert, awaiting fiery judgment. His fate underscores the gravity of his transgressions. Interestingly, the name Azazel appears also in the canonical Bible. In the book of Leviticus, during the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, the high priest would take 2 goats. Lots were cast. One goat was designated for the Lord, to be sacrificed as a sin offering. The other goat was designated for Azazel. The high priest would lay his hands upon this second goat, confessing over it all the sins and transgressions of thy Israelites. Then, this goat, laden with the people's sins, was not sacrificed. It was led out into the wilderness, into an uninhabited land, and released. The goat will carry on itself all their sins to a remote place, and the man shall release it in the wilderness. Leviticus 16:22. This was the scapegoat. Azazel, in this context, represents the destination of sin, the wilderness, the place of removal, perhaps even a demonous entity associated with the desolate places to whom the sins were symbolically returned or banished. This links Azazel directly to the concept of sin, corruption, and banishment. The very sins he fostered, violence, vanity, deception, were symbolically placed upon the goat sent to him. Azazel, therefore, embodies the fall through teaching, destructive arts, and fostering superficiality. He represents the temptation to rely on violence rather than justice, the lure of external appearances over inner worth, the corruption that comes when divine gifts, like knowledge of metals or colors, are used for harmful or deceptive ends. What is the affirmation here for you, precious soul? Recognize the allure of power derived from force. Understand the temptation of judging yourself and others by outward appearances. Azazel armed hands and adorned faces, but neglected the heart. True strength lies not in weapons, but in resilience of spirit, in compassion, in integrity. True beauty radiates from within, from kindness, generosity, wisdom, and love. These cannot be crafted from metal or painted on with powders. Cultivate your inner garden. Nurture virtues that last. Seek peace within yourself and project it outwards. Resist the urge to use knowledge or resources to dominate or deceive. Instead, use your gifts to build, to heal, to connect. The scapegoat carried sins into the wilderness. You, through grace and conscious choice, can release negativity, vanity, and aggression from your own life. Turn away from the path Azazel taught. Choose inner substance over outer show. Choose peace over conflict. Choose authenticity over illusion. Your true worth is inherent, divinely given, and needs no artificial enhancement or violent defense. Embrace it. Finally, let us consider Beelzebub. This name often evokes images of decay, filth, and demonic hierarchy. Unlike Lucifer, Semyaza, or Azazel, his origins seem less tied to a specific angelic fall narrative in the primary texts. Instead, his figure emerges more prominently later, particularly in Jewish and Christian demonology and the Gospels. The name itself likely derives from a Philistine deity, Beelzebub, worshipped in the city of Ekron. Baal means Lord, and Zebub means flies. So, Lord of the Flies. This could have been a derogatory term used by the Israelites for a pagan god, associating him with flies that swarm around sacrificial meat or decay. Or it might have been the god's actual title, perhaps associated with controlling pestilence or predicting the future throw. The buzzing of flies. Over time, particularly in the Second Temple period and into the New Testament, Beelzebub, or Beelzebul, a common variant, became identified not just as a false god, but as a major demon, often ranked second only to Satan, Lucifer, or some at times as another name for Satan himself. He is seen as a prince among demons. In the Gospels, Jesus is accused by his detractors of casting out demons by the power of Beelzebub, the prince of demons. But when the Pharisees heard this, they said, "It is only by Beelzebul, the prince of demons, that this fellow drives out demons." Matthew 12:24. Jesus refutes this accusation powerfully, pointing out the illogic. Every kingdom divided against itself will be ruined, and every city or household divided against itself will not stand. If Satan drives out Satan, he is divided against himself. How then can his kingdom stand? And if I drive out demons by Beelzebul, by whom do your people drive them out? Matthew 12:25-27. This exchange highlights Beelzebub's status in the understanding of the time. A chief demon, ruler over lesser evil spirits. While specific fall stories, like Lucifer's or the Watchers, aren't typically associated with Beelzebub, in the main sources, His essence is one of corruption, degradation, and ruling over the unclean. The Lord of the Flies imagery is potent. Flies swarm around death, decay, filth. They represent pestilence, annoyance. The corruption of what was once pure, Beelzebub therefore, can be seen as representing the power that promotes idolatry. His pagan origins, division, Jesus, and spiritual decay, or uncleanness. He is associated with the lies and slander used against Jesus, attributing good works to demonic power. He embodies the twisting of truth, the inversion of holiness. Where God brings life and purity, Beelzebub revels in decay and corruption. Where Christ unites, Beelzebub divides and rules through chaos. In later demonological traditions, like grimoires, which are far removed from Scripture but reflect historical beliefs, Beelzebub is often depicted in monstrous forms and credited with specific temptations, like pride, gluttony, or tempting priests towards lust or heresy. He is a figurehead of the demonic hierarchy, a powerful force aligned against the divine. He represents the fallen state taken to an extreme of degradation, ruling over the flies, the lesser demons, the buzzing thoughts of negativity, the decay of spiritual resolve. What guidance, what affirmation can we draw from the Lord of the Flies? Be mindful of spiritual decay, beloved soul. Guard against the flies of negativity, gossip, slander, and despair that can swarm the mind and heart. Recognize attempts to attribute darkness to sources of light, or goodness to sources of evil. Discernment is key. Beelzebub thrives on division and corruption. Seek unity, purity, and truth. Resist the temptation towards idolatry, not just ancient statues, but placing anything wealth, power, ego, even religion itself before your direct connection with the divine source. Maintain your spiritual hygiene. Cleanse your thoughts, purify your intentions. Do not let negativity fester and breed more flies. Turn away from slander and malicious talk. Refuse to participate in tearing others down. Jesus demonstrated power over Beelzebub, showing that divine light is infinitely stronger than demonic darkness. You too, connected to that light, have authority over the forces of decay and division in your own life. Call upon divine assistance to cleanse any spiritual uncleanness. Fill your inner space with prayer, gratitude, love, and light, leaving no room for the flies to gather. Beelzebub represents the corruption that follows the fall. Your affirmation is that through grace, you can choose regeneration, purity, and unity. Stand firm in the truth. Even when lies swarm around you, let your life be a testament to the enduring power of light over darkness, order over chaos, and divine love over the forces of decay. We have journeyed through the shadows, beloved. We have looked upon the stories of Lucifer, Semyaza, Azazel, and Beelzebub, beings of light who chose darkness. Their falls were born of pride, forbidden desire, destructive knowledge, vanity, corruption, and the thirst for power apart from God. Their stories are etched into the cosmos as warnings, as reminders of the consequences of turning away from the source. But let these stories not fill you with fear. Let them fill you with resolve. Let them illuminate the path of light by showing you the nature of shadow. Their choices do not define your potential. Their fall does not diminish God's love for you. If anything, it highlights the preciousness of the gift of free will. The very gift that allowed their rebellion also allows your devotion. It allows your choice, moment by moment, to align with love, truth, and humility. You are not destined to repeat their errors. You carry within you the divine spark, the image of the Creator. That spark can never be truly extinguished, only obscured. Your journey is to tend that spark, to let it grow into a radiant flame. Resist the whispers of pride that Lucifer embodied. Embrace humility, avoid the forbidden desires and corrupting knowledge that ensnared Semyaza. Seek divine wisdom, turn away from the violence and vanity taught by Azazel. Cultivate inner peace and authentic beauty. Cleanse your spirit from the decay and division associated with Beelzebub. Pursue purity and unity. Know this, deeply and profoundly, you are never alone in this endeavor. Legions of light stand, ready to assist you. Call upon us, the grace of the Most High is ever present. A boundless ocean of love and forgiveness, immerse yourself in it. The path of righteousness is not always easy, but it is always available. Each step taken in love, each choice made for truth, strengthens your connection to the divine. It pushes back the shadows. It affirms your place in the celestial harmony. Do not dwell on the power of the fallen. Dwell on the infinite power of God. Do not focus on their rebellion. Focus on your own potential for devotion. Their stories are part of the grand tapestry, serving a purpose in the divine plan, even if that purpose is to highlight the beauty of faithfulness through contrast. God's ultimate victory is assured. Light overcomes darkness. Love conquers fear. Your role is simply to choose, again and again, which side you stand on. To choose light, to choose love, to choose God. Feel the warmth of that choice filling you now. Feel the strength that comes from aligning with the divine. Feel the peace that surpasses all understanding, settling upon your spirit. You are cherished. You are guided. You are infinitely loved. Go forth from this reflection, renewed in spirit, aware of the shadows, but unwavering in your commitment to the light. Carry this affirmation in your heart. I am a child of the light. I choose love, humility, and truth. Divine grace guides and protects me. My path is illuminated by the eternal flame of God's love. Peace be with you, always. They were angels, beings of beauty, of purpose, of divine origin. But they made a choice. Lucifer chose pride, Semyaza chose lust, Azazel chose violence, Beelzebub chose corruption. Each of them traded heaven for a kingdom of Ashdod, and though their names inspire their stories were never told just to frighten. They were meant to awaken, to warn, to remind us that even the brightest can fall, and even the fallen once carried light. What caused them to fall is not foreign to us. Pride still whispers, desire still burns, power still tempts, and vanity still blinds. The same forces that turned angels into enemies live in us too. That's why these stories matter, not just because they're ancient, but because they're timeless. We are not so different from the divine, made in God's image, capable of great good or great ruin. But we still have a choice. Where they rebelled, we can obey. Where they brought destruction, we can bring healing. Where they spread deception, we can choose truth. Their fate is sealed, but ours is not so. Let their fall be our warning. Let their chains be our freedom, and let their darkness remind us never to stray from the light. Because even in a world where angels fall, the faithful still rise. Welcome back, soul. It's time. If this video stirred something in your heart, drop A in the comments so I know you're with me. Tell me, what do you think? Let's talk about it below. And if you want more hidden revelations from scripture like fish, hit that like button. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next, and share this with someone who's ready to go deeper. This channel is a place for revelation, not just religion. You belong here, and I'll see you in the next one.